Let's hear it. Well, let's not waste any time, whether he's playing a broken cop, a treacherous Marvel villain, or gallivanting across the galaxy as our favorite Time Lord. Let's welcome David Tennant!
There's so many people in this room.
I'm pleased to announce that the entire population of Madison is actually here in this room.
Oh, okay, right. Well, it's lovely to see you all.
We've been asking all of our guests, first question off the bat, what's your love affair with cheese?
Oh, sorry, is that?
Clearly the
In
wrong
one
answer.
fell swoop, I've lost all the love in the room. I mean, it's all right. I like cheese as an ingredient of things. So I like it kind of melted on stuff. I like it in a sauce. Cheese for the sake. When someone wheels out the cheese board, I'm like, come on. That's not a dessert. Don't try and pretend that's in place of dessert. I want pudding.
Our last guest had a drawer of cheese at home. What do you?
What, a drawer made of cheese?
Maybe it's that. Maybe.
Yeah.
What are you crazy about? What's your food or something that you just love or passionate about?
Oh, cookies? No, yeah, cookies can work. I just about everything you can do with a potato.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that.
You won the battle.
I'm back in the room. And I do find breakfast cereal hard to beat in all its many and luxuriant forms.
A breakfast cereal choice that we would recognize?
Do you know what I have? A little something that I forget exists until I come to America is Golden Grahams. I do quite like them. They're quite nice, aren't they? Quite nice. I mean, I think they're really bad for you, but I don't think we're just not going to worry about that. Yeah.
Well, tell us, we're obviously huge fans of all your work, but how did you get into acting? Did you start in theater, or what was your background in acting?
I was just a kid who watched the TV and thought it looked like a fun job. I really, that is, you know, and I watched, there was a program called Doctor Who, I don't know if you've heard of it. And I watched that as a kid. And I remember having a conversation with my parents about people on TV and what they were doing, and that they were people pretending and telling stories, and I remember at a really young age getting what that was and thinking that was a really good idea, and deciding that that's what I was going to do when I grew up, and it sort of all worked out. So
That's okay, it's working okay.
that's why we're here.
As you know, everyone.
So many people in this room. We're like way in the background. Very exciting.
And everyone in this room are die-hard Whovians, die-hard fans of the show.
And then that one was like Broadchurch.
Broadchurch.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Jessica Jones. Was there a show or something on TV that, as a child, as a young adult, that you just loved?
Oh, I loved I loved all sorts of things. I mean, I did love Doctor Who. I was a Doctor Who fan. As many of the people who currently work on Doctor Who were, it seems to be sort of almost compulsory now to get a job on Doctor Who. You have to have grown up as a fan of it, but I definitely did that. And then, like for American shows, I used to love the Incredible Hulk show. Did you watch that? I loved that. I love the Incredible Hulk
So
comic books as
sad.
well.
So sad.
I know, there was something deeply tragic about it. Maybe it was the wig. But no, that was a fantastic. I watched, I loved all that stuff. There was quite an obscure British show called Into the Labyrinth. Does anyone here know that? Like one person, 2 people. I used to love that when I was a kid. All sorts, yeah.
Well, let's fast forward and tell us about the journey of getting into Doctor Who. Like, how did that happen?
Well, I was doing a show for the BBC called Casanova. Yes, that was me.
It's a fun game for you today.
I had blue eyes, but other than that, it was me. I had to wear, because Peter O'Toole was the old Casanova, and I was the young Casanova. And nobody was about to tell Peter O'Toole that he had to change his eye colour, as he had some of the most famous eyes in all movie history. So I had to wear these thick blue contact lenses for weeks. But other than that, it was me. Just in case they threw you off. What was I saying? Yes, that's right. So I was doing Casanova, and it was written by Russell T Davies, who at the same time was in the middle of putting together the reboot of Doctor Who, along with Julie Gardner, the executive producer, also of both shows. So Casanova ended up being my kind of audition for Doctor Who, although I was completely unaware of it at the time, because I didn't realise they were looking for anyone. Russell asked me round to his house in Manchester, which is where we've been filming Casanova, because he had a couple of rough cuts of the first series of Doctor Who, and he knew that I was a bit of a fan, and that I might want to see how the show was looking. So he invited me over and he showed me a rough cut of Rose, the first episode, and I was very excited. And then he showed me a really rough cut of Dalek, the first Dalek episode, without any special effects or anything, but you could tell it was all very exciting. And then they told me that they wanted me to take over. This is before the show had even transmitted, so that was the slightly weird bit. Because, they hadn't, would you take over and can you film a scene for the end of episode 13 kind of in about 10 minutes? It was a bit like that. Which was odd because the show hadn't been out yet, so you were thinking, well, what if I film a little bit for the end of episode 13, the show doesn't ever go again, and I'm the person that played the Doctor for 35 seconds. But I would probably still have got a big finish series out of it, so
So you didn't have Eccleston and Drawn, like you had seen up to that point?
I didn't have to, sorry?
For the first season, Chris Eccleston, you didn't get a chance to see those shows before you auditioned for...
Well, I didn't, that's what I'm saying, I didn't really audition. They showed me some of these rough cuts around at Russell's house, and then they said, turns out we need someone for season 2. What do you think? So it was just, it was slightly unexpected, to say the least.
So, the brilliance of Doctor Who is sort of that built-in ability to renew itself because of the regenerations and the new doctors. Going into it and taking on that mantle, what was, how clear the picture was it of what the 10th Doctor would be, and how did that sort of form into what we know and love as the Doctor?
It sort of kind of emerges through, because obviously Russell T Davies is writing it, so you've got scripts that are kind of brilliant. So that's quite a good starting point. And then you just, so you take the script and you have ideas of what you want to, of how it needs to be, and you just kind of throw some energy at it and you see what sticks. Obviously there are the practical things like working out what you're going to wear, which ends up becoming this huge, vast question that can be quite onerous. That was quite difficult. We spent like days in a costume house in London, just going. What? No, thank you. I did always, one of the first things I said to Russell and Julie the very night they said, would you take over? Before I'd even said yes, I said, can I have a really long coat? think it's important. So yeah, the coat was kind of great. Made of a sofa covering, would you believe? So yeah, you know, so finding the costume and putting all that together, that's all about kind of the pressure of that, and it's all very exciting until you realise you've actually got to turn up and do it and people have got to watch it and you've got to not break it. That's the thing. When you're being sort of handed something that's been loved and cherished down the generations, and has been running on and off certainly, but it's been running on TV since 1963. You think, oh, please don't let me be the person that makes a mess of this. So it's the pressure of that. I mean, it's hugely exciting to be plonked into the middle of something like that, but it is, you just want to get it right. You want your eight-year-old self to be proud of what you do. You know?
Was there a certain point during the run that you realized that the magnitude of it really hits you and just
all the time. It kept doing that, you know, sort of just the amount of attention it got. You know, when it was announced that you were doing it, just your life sort of just changes a bit. Everything's just you become. People are just interested in sort of everything about you from that moment on, which just takes a bit of adjusting, you know. You just have to get used to the idea that going to the supermarket will never quite be the same again.
12 people have already purchased your sweater online.
Isn't that nice? Thanks.
We have plenty of fan questions, but before we get to that, you know, I have loved you and I've hated you because of your role as Kilgrave.
Yeah.
Absolutely, by far, the best Marvel villain that we've seen.
I bet you see that role of psychopath.
What attracted you to that role, and wow, tell us about that experience.
Well, that was just, I got a phone call I actually did get a phone call from Jeff Loeb, who's the head of Marvel Television, who I used to read comic books that he'd written. So he sort of called you up and goes, so we're making the show, and I didn't know the comic book. I thought I was quite good on my Marvel comics. I'd never heard of the Jessica Jones comic book. But I read it and thought, oh, this is juicy. Not one for the kids, I have to say. It's a slightly more grown-up version of the Marvel Universe. PG-13 at least, I would say. But it was a great story, it was a great character. I got to be a character from a comic book. My 8-year-old self was quite pleased with that as well. Although I haven't shown him Jessica Jones yet, because that would be weird on so many levels. It was too exciting to turn down.
With the fans that love your role as the 10th Doctor, were any of them in some way like mad that you played such a villainous role?
Well, only if they were stupid.